Good Monday morning. Let's take a look at what we've lined up for you on today's show.
Today, Dr. Dan Thompson's guest will be Dr. Dave Rethorst, a director of outreach for the Beef Cattle Institute at Kansas State's College of Veterinary Medicine. They'll be talking about strategies for internal and external parasite control in the cow herd. Learn about the various products currently on the market, recommendations on when to administer these products, and the benefits of the oral, injectable, and pour-on versions. Stay tuned for all this and more after the break.
Closed captioning brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress, powered by Kansas farmers.
Ag AM in Kansas is brought to you in part by Kansas Pork Association, assisting producers and informing consumers.
Welcome to the show.
Glad to be here, Dan.
Well, folks, Dr. Rethorst is our guest today, and we're going to talk about parasites in the cow herd. Dr. Rethorst has over 30 years of practical experience in veterinary medicine practice in southern Nebraska and western Kansas, and has joined our staff at Kansas State University's College of Veterinary Medicine as the Director of Outreach for the Beef Cattle Institute, and we're just tickled to death not only to have him on the show, but we're proud to have him back in Wildcat land and here at the veterinary school.
Well, it's good to be here. It's just time to do something different.
Well, we're going to start out by sharing some of your knowledge on parasites and deworming these cows.
Okay, very good. Start off by defining the issues. In the calves, we're interested primarily in internal parasite control. Number one reason for that is we'll have an effect on weaning weight if we've got a heavy internal parasite load. Number two thing is we'll affect our post-weaning performance. Weight gain is critical post-weaning, but also if we don't get these calves weaned or dewormed ahead of weaning, we'll see some immune system dysfunction, we'll have more respiratory disease, we'll have more coccidiosis. So I always like to incorporate the initial worming in our pre-wean vaccination program. As far as the external parasites are concerned, usually don't worry about that until post-weaning on the calves, because if we've got everything in control in the cow herd the way we should, we just don't see the lice issues, etc., ahead of weaning in these calves.
So basically we're worried about the internals in these baby calves out there on the pasture.
That's correct.
And performance and immune system, and they all kind of go hand in hand. Let's jump into those young heifers or the next phase or next group, young cows, heifers, and that type.
Okay. On the yearling heifers and our 2- and 3-year-old cows, we're interested in the externals, but we're also still pretty interested in the internals, because those young cows, their immune system isn't functioning yet to help in the parasite control. As those females get older, the immune system will gear up and will actually reduce our worm load. So
the older cows, then, you're more concerned.
Yeah, the older cows, we deworm them, but we're not as concerned there with the internals as we are with the externals. So if we get the externals under control in the cows and deworm them once a year, we're usually in good shape.
Well, I think when we come back, we'll talk about some of the products, about controlling internal parasites, external parasites such as lice and things, and more of our roundworms and nematodes and different things to that nature. It's a great segment, folks. Cow deworming and parasite control is imperative to your operation and productivity, and we'll be back right after the break.
Ag AM in Kansas is brought to you in part by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
The Kansas State University College of Veterinary Medicine is a leader in food animal research and education. Our researchers are constantly expanding the knowledge of animal health and food safety. Through the Veterinary Health Center and the Kansas State Veterinary Diagnostic Lab, we provide practical services for animal producers. Home of the Beef Cattle Institute, the college is committed to animal welfare training and research. The Kansas State University College of Veterinary Medicine, knowledge and service for the future of animal production.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
ValleyVet.com, ValleyVet.com, Valley Vet Supply.
This hog is head over hoof for meal made from U.S. soybeans. Now, one hog isn't that impressive, but suppose we add another, and another, and another. Before long, you've got billions of hungry customers around the world all clamoring for the same thing. Our soybeans. Learn more about the billion-dollar appetite of animal agriculture at BeyondTheElevator.com. Brought to you by America's soybean farmers and their checkoff.
Now another gardening tip with Annette Jackson.
If you don't have a garden, you can still enjoy fresh vegetables by growing them in containers. Let Jackson's help you select the correct plants for your pots. Use Fertilome's Ultimate Potting Mix. Place pots in the sun and feed them weekly with Fertilome's water-soluble fertilizer. Water thoroughly when dry and watch your garden grow.
Jackson's grows over 50 varieties of tomato plants and 75 kinds of pepper plants. We'll help you choose the best variety.
Roy Fry Western Lifestyles brings the cowboy or cowgirl out in all of us. With a huge selection of must-have items, it doesn't matter if you're shopping for your horse, picking up some Western accessories to add that rustic charm to your home, or simply treating yourself. The knowledge and expertise to dress you your Western best is right here at Roy Fry Western Lifestyles, Highway 24 and Kansas Avenue in Topeka.
This segment is brought to you by Santa Fe Trail Meats in Overbrook. Stop by or visit us at sftmeats.com.
Hi there, folks, and welcome back to Doc Talk. Dr. Dan Thompson here from the College of Veterinary Medicine at Kansas State University, and I'm joined by Dr. David Rethorst, who is the Director of Outreach for the Beef Cattle Institute here at Kansas State University's College of Veterinary Medicine. And Dr. Dave, today we're talking about
deworming the beef cow, or deworming in the cow herd.
And so we talked about the difference between internal parasites and external parasites as we look at, whether we're worried about baby calves or if we're worried about young replacement heifers and then the cows. And now we're going to jump into some of the different products. And of course, the one that jumps out and everybody knows about are the avermectins or the ivermectin type products.
Right, and we have several different compounds or several different labels in the avermectin family. We've got the Dectomax and the Ivomec and the Cydectin, new injectable avermectin due out this spring in the long-range Epronex, and then of course you've got the generics on the ivermectin side.
Lots of different products, similar type compounds.
Right.
Within those.
Right, and the difference becomes whether we're talking about the injectable or whether we're talking about the pour-on forms of these compounds. With the injectables, they do a great job on the internal parasites, but not so great on the external parasites, particularly the lice, because we've got two different kinds of lice.
Right.
The injectable products will get the sucking lice because the sucking lice take a blood meal. They don't do a great job on the biting lice because the biting lice feed on the debris on the skin. So it's just hard to get that injectable product to get up in the skin.
So when we're looking at lice issues in general, we're probably going to go with some sort of pour-on or
correct
product.
Right. If you look at the pour-on avermectins, they do a great job on the external parasites because they're up on the skin, and when you put it on the skin, it holds that product there and will get the biting as well as the sucking lice. The problem then becomes that those pour-ons aren't absorbed completely or adequately to do a real great job on the internal parasites.
And I think that's been documented on some different cases, that maybe there might be a better control of internal with the injectable versus the pour-ons, but still you can get some internal control with those pour-ons.
Right, right. If we go back and we talked about the mature cow, we have some immune system function there that helps with the internal control. That's why we can get by with the pour-on the mature cow.
And the longer that they're exposed to the same parasites, the more natural immune response to those you're going to see.
Right.
Well, I think that's been a great segue into our break. And we'll take another break, and we'll come back and have some more discussion on this.
Sounds good.
We appreciate you watching Doc Talk. We're talking about controlling parasites in the cow herd with Dr. David Rethorst. We'll be right back after the break.
Ag AM in Kansas is brought to you in part by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
We've been using Multi-Min for about 7 years. It's one of the most multi-use products that we have here on the farm. Bulls, cows, calves, weaning age cattle, just about everything on the place. If they go through the chute, they get a shot of it. The primary use that we started Multi-Min was in our donor program, in our embryo transplant program. I'd recommend Multi-Min to any producer in the cattle business. Here at Deer Valley, every animal that goes through the chute gets a dose of Multi-Min.
Dr. Dan here. Whether I'm driving up and down the roads covering the state of Kansas, or I'm getting between Riley and Manhattan for my job, I'm driving a Ford truck. I'd like you to come out and visit my friends here at Dick Edwards Ford. They have a truck that'll suit your needs, whether you're looking for power with a Power Stroke diesel, or if you're looking for fuel efficiency with the new EcoBoost engine, they got a truck that's just right for you. They're located 2 miles east of the Town Center Mall in Manhattan, Kansas, and they'll bend over backwards to help you. And I'll see you down the road.
Get ready for the Kicker Country Stampede presented by Verizon Wireless, starring Jason Aldean, Trace Atkins. 4 days of camping and country music at Country Stampede, Little Big Town. The Pistol Annies featuring Ashley Monroe, Miranda Lambert, and Angelina Presley. Country Stampede. Take advantage of our current pricing. Use Easy Pay to split up your payments. Save money through April 30th with early bird pricing. More info at countrystampede.com.
Purple Wave is a proud supporter of the Kansas FFA through the Bid for Blue program. Purple Wave donates a portion of the proceeds earned on certain ag assets to the Kansas FFA. Winning bidders can designate a Kansas chapter to receive the donation. To date, Purple Wave is proud to have donated over $10,000. Visit purplewave.com to learn more and to place bids on Bid for Blue assets. Purple Wave Auction. Straight, simple, sold.
Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, SureCrop Liquid Crop Nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. SureCrop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose SureCrop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information.
American innovation is being driven in places you might not expect by people like Brent Hayek, an Oklahoma family farmer, who recently set a world land speed record in a Ford Super Duty pickup truck powered by renewable B20 biodiesel. Advanced performance is here, now, putting America on the fast track to more jobs and energy independence. Biodiesel, America's advanced biofuel.
This segment is brought to you by Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego, just a short drive down the Yellow Brick Road.
Hi there, welcome back to Doc Talk. Dr. Dan Thompson here from the College of Veterinary Medicine with my friend and colleague, Dr. Dave Rethorst, who is the Director of Outreach for the Beef Cattle Institute at Kansas State University's College of Veterinary Medicine. We're glad to have him back in Power Cat land, and we're talking about controlling parasites in the cow herd, and we left talking about the ivermectin products.
Right.
But now we're going to talk about some of the white dewormers or the fenbendazoles and things to that nature.
Okay. The white wormers, there's several of them out there, Safeguard, Panacure, Valbazin, Synanthic, but they're great short-acting wormers. They'll do a great job on the internal parasites, but they have no external parasite control.
And the reason why we call them white dewormers is because they come in a white paste, or something that we give orally to the cattle versus injectably or topically with the ivermectins.
Right. So We can use these as an oral drench. On the fenbendazole, there's non-handling forms available, whether it be through range cubes, mineral, added to ration, fed with the feed truck, something like this. Used to use a lot of these products when we had organophosphates available to take care of the external parasites, but we don't have those anymore. So the main place I use these benzimetazoles anymore is in the strategic deworming programs in the spring of the year, where we deworm the cows after they've been on grass for 30 days, and we can do that without having to put the cows back through the chute.
We do it through a cube or through.
Right.
What about the externals? External parasites, specifically we're talking about the lice.
Okay, the lice, you know, we talked about with the pour-on avermectins, we can get a good job there. If we're not wanting to use an avermectin, we've got the pyrethrins or the synthetic pyrethroids that we can use along with our injectable avermectins or use alone to take care of the lice and the flies.
And the big time to use those is the winter, right?
Yeah, winter and early spring if you've got a problem.
I can still remember seeing calves, you know, scratching on the fence posts and rubbing on fences and pipe and cable and patches of hair and those types of things. It doesn't take you too long to figure out if you got a lice issue.
That's right. They'll tell you right away if there's a problem.
And so what about on the externals? You know, I guess it depends on where you're located geographically, because we have people watching this all over the place. But you know, just coming into winter and then waiting until you have good cloud break and warm weather in the spring, is that when we're looking at?
Well, I usually try to be ahead of that some. You know, where I practiced in southern Nebraska and northern Kansas, we tried to get louse control going into the fall, and then if need be, we would use a lice product ahead of calving on the cows, so we had the lice beat down, and then we didn't have to worry about it going into grass.
It's awesome. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about strategy and parasite control in the cow herd. You're watching Doc Talk. We're sure glad you joined us, and we're going to see you here after the break.
Ag AM in Kansas is brought to you in part by Premier Farm and Home. Stop by or visit us at heycow.com.
This is the fast track to more jobs and America's energy independence. Advanced performance is here, now. Biodiesel, America's advanced biofuel.
Tar Waters has what you need for all seasons for around the farm and home. Working, hunting, growing, feeding, snow removal, even fun for the kids. And a service department with experienced techs to help keep your equipment in top running condition. Tar Waters has a huge selection and the best prices. Tarwater Farm and Home, family owned and operated since 1978. They have what you need.
Ag AM in Kansas is brought to you in part by K-State Research and Extension. Knowledge for life.
A K-State animal scientist had the opportunity to speak at the Southern Plains Drought Summit in Pratt, Kansas. With Ag AM in Kansas, I'm Devin Stewart. Justin Wagner says that as producers plan for the upcoming grazing season, with the prospect of continuing drought conditions, producers should consider the merits of supplemental feeding cattle on drought-stressed pastures.
The key thing to focus in on is that our primary need to cows on drought-stressed pastures in a limited forage availability situation is really energy instead of protein, and so that changes the picture in terms of how we price our supplements. You know, they need to be priced on a cost per unit of TDN or a cost per unit of net energy for maintenance value as a way to compare a number of the different supplements.
With Ag AM in Kansas, I'm Devin Stewart.
Golf Week calls it the best course you can play in Kansas. But once you play, you'll want to stay. Go for it. Firekeeper Golf Course at Prairie Band Casino and Resort is just north of Topeka off Highway 75. Our stay and play package is worth the trip. Luxury hotel room, green fees, and golf cart for two, starting at just $169.
Prairie Band Casino and Resort. Go for it!
The Kansas State University College of Veterinary Medicine is a leader in food animal research and education. Our researchers are constantly expanding the knowledge of animal health and food safety. Through the Veterinary Health Center and the Kansas State Veterinary Diagnostic Lab, we provide practical services for animal producers. Home of the Beef Cattle Institute, the college is committed to animal welfare training and research. The Kansas State University College of Veterinary Medicine, knowledge and service for the future of animal production.
This segment is brought to you by Roy Fry Western Lifestyles, dressing Northeast Kansas their Western best for almost 60 years.
Hi there, folks. Welcome back to Doc Talk. Dr. Dan Thompson here with Dr. Dave Rethorst. We're both from the College of Veterinary Medicine at Kansas State University, and we're talking about controlling parasites in the cow herd. And now, Dr. Dave, we've talked about the internal parasites, external parasites. We've talked about avermectins, white dewormers, porons, everything. Now let's kind of tie it together. When and what are you going to recommend? And first, let's clarify. We want you to work with your local veterinarian and get a recommendation. These are just some things that Dr. Dave and I have put together, and Dr. Dave specifically in his years of practice and research. But go ahead, Dave.
Okay, well, my comments will be geared primarily towards Kansas and Nebraska because that's what I know, and in the examples I'm going to be talking primarily about spring calving cows because that's what the majority of our cows are anymore. But, you know, we'll start off with that baby calf in the spring. If we've got a good internal program in the cows, we might not have to deworm that baby right away, but I've got several producers that if they're running the natural program, they'll use an injectable avermectin rather than implant, and they feel they're getting a comparable kick there and fit into these natural programs. Typically what I did was, again, I try to get my first dewormer into those calves when we do our pre-wean vaccination program on the ranch because I think we just get better immune system function and we don't have to worry so much about coccidiosis control. If we do that ahead of time, and we can do that with an injectable avermectin because we've got a 30-day duration of activity on those products and we don't have to worry about them getting reinfested. If we don't do it pre-wean, jump in there at weaning and do it then. But do like the injectables on those calves or use a white wormer and a pyrethrin depending on your preference. There's some work out there that shows a combination of the white wormers with an avermectin is good as far as feedlot performance on these calves.
What about our cows?
Cows, depends on how many times a year you want to deworm. If you're going to deworm a cow once a year, you want to do it in the fall and probably use an avermectin poron because we get good lice control and we don't have to worry as much about building resistance on those internal parasites by doing it in the fall. Again, you can use the other products, but cleanest, simplest on the mature cows is the poron, and then we've got to think about our young stock.
Might do a combination. Some people use combinations on those cows in the fall.
Right, and that'd be a good place on those young cows to do the combination. The other thing is our strategic deworming. We can do that in the spring. If necessary, do it out on grass and clean those cows up and have calves cleaner going into fall.
Thanks for being here today.
It's been a pleasure.
Great information. Thank you for watching. Remember, always work with your local veterinarian, and if you want to know more about what Dr. Dave and I do here at the College of Veterinary Medicine, you can find us on the web at www.vet.ksu.edu. I'm Dr. Dan Thompson. You've joined us here for Doc Talk this morning. I'm sure glad you joined us, and I'll see you down the road.
Closed captioning brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff. Progress, powered by Kansas farmers.